phone call from my baby saying, honey, I miss you like crazy. It's the sound of a siren song. Oh, Carolina, you keep calling me home. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, from deep in the bowels of our underground lair, where we're getting to your ears faster than Biden or Harris can get to a natural disaster.
Ha! Oh, wow. Well, that'll be forever then.
That's it. Well, how you doing? Not a lot of good news this week.
No, I mean, we're going to cover a lot today. I mean, obviously we're a month from an election, and obviously that dominates, the political realm and what we're all about here. And it can't come soon enough, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
I'm exhausted by it. But being a political junkie, Jay. First off, I don't know the lyrics. I don't know who sings that. I'm going to guess it is Bon Jovi.
No.
All right, I will guess that it is Right Said Fred.
Ooh, very close.
Really?
No.
Who's that one guy? That other guy, what's his name? Why can't I think of it? Ice Baby.
No.
Who's that?
No, Vanilla Ice. His name is like in the song. Yeah. No, it's not him. Right Said Fred. What did they have more than one song? I don't know. If
both of them. I know I'm too sexy for myself or something like that.
Yeah. Funny enough,
did they? I don't know.
Yeah, that was theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, when I was in high school, I think I bought the single for that, but at Tower Records in Paris. Why? I don't know. I could have gotten that anywhere. Dumb. When I was young, I was.
So
dumb.
you were influenced when you got that?
Yeah. That. What else did I get? I think there was a Faith No More live at the Brixton Academy. I don't think I was able to get that in the United States.
That might have been a bootleg.
That was good. No,
when I worked it down in the Valley, I can remember occasionally we'd get some sort of. I don't know if you call it a bootleg CD or like a live CD that you couldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that they've got this one on Spotify, if I remember right. I'd have to look it up. But it was only like a European release for a while.
Huh.
So
who did it? Who's
yes. So a little bit of a curveball this week, but because of everything that's going on, I couldn't think of a more appropriate song. Sometimes I have thrown this as a rock and roll performer. Sometimes I've thrown this into my set as well. In fact, this song I've sang it for years and years and years and years. This is Eric Church, Carolina, off of his Carolina album. A lot of rock and roll tendencies in there, so it's not very very far removed. Although this is one of his kind of more country type songs.
I was just going to say, Eric Church. What genre would you put him in?
Oh, he's country, but he does have a lot of rock in it. I mean, there's some that very much
crossover
country rock where you would almost. There's some country these days that you would have called Southern rock in the 70s.
Yeah.
And some of it even is a little heavier than that,
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of country today.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know. I couldn't even, to me, country is Hank Williams, it's Merle Haggard.
Right.
I go into the 90s. Garth Brooks was one of the best concerts I ever went to in my life.
Yeah.
And if you ask me in country, even then, I liked the Alan Jacksons and the Randy Travises and the people like that.
Yeah.
More than I liked what my buddy used to call suburban country.
Yeah.
Goes, hey, you're not supposed to like country there in the cities. It's not for you.
No. Meanwhile, you're sitting in your basement crying to an 8-track of Crystal Gale.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I got you pegged.
Pretty much. So, the whole thing, well, your Walkman's got those worn out Roxette tapes. Same thing. So anyway, Jay, I got to start with something here. A very thing, the the world of baseball is something that I follow, obviously, and I'm not that big of a fan of the sport now.
Yeah.
But Pete Rose passing away. What happened there? I don't know what happened to him, but supposedly he did an autograph session like last Friday.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the news broke, Monday night or something, that he passed away?
Yeah.
He was 83.
Maybe even yesterday.
Yeah, he was 83. I mean, he was older than I thought he was. But,
Right.
I mean, it hit me hard, Pete Rose.
Yeah.
I just, because Pete Rose's legacy, there's one word I always say to describe it: sad.
Yeah.
It's just sad. I mean, whatever side of the fence, and nobody was the lightning. The only guy I can think of is Barry Bonds, who's the lightning rod in baseball. But Pete Rose, I saw him at the very end of his career.
Yeah.
In 1985, I remember when he broke the hits record, Ty Cobb's record. Ty Cobb being the first baseball player I ever studied.
Right.
Even before I studied Babe Ruth, all because of Pete Rose. It was all because of Pete Rose.
Yeah.
I had the 80s bowl cut because he had that. Always a guy I admired, and a guy who fell from... He reminds me of Bill Clinton in so many ways. I mean, a guy who thought he could get away with anything, and I always thought was sorrier he got caught than sorrier, kind of like Clinton. Sorrier he got caught than sorry that he did what he did. But at the same time, I have this affection for the guy, and I can't really put my finger on why.
So, well, I think part of it is, when somebody is that good. I mean, he was great.
Right. I mean, the best of the best.
And to see him not get what he deserves, he should, by all accounts, have been in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Except that he
screwed
gambled,
it up.
He bet on games, and so I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about him being banned for life? And is that going to change now that he's dead?
Well,
do you think?
I think eventually. I mean, my solution to the Rose situation is to put him in the Hall of Fame and put it on his plaque.
Yeah.
Say, look, this guy deserves to be here because of his play.
Yeah.
But he was a huge butthole and an arrogant prick. And there's no doubt he was that. I mean, I wouldn't put it that way, but it's the what I don't like is the endless non-resolution to it. I just think that nothing's going to satisfy everybody.
Yeah.
But my answer is to put him in and put it on his plaque. That guy disgraced the game, no question about it. Any coincidence that he gets fired from the Reds as the manager in 1989 and they win the World Series the next year? Right. Any coincidence there? I just, I always thought that. But, I mean, the real truth is that with the Black Sox scandal in 1919, Commissioner Landis at the time, Kennesaw Landis, who banned those guys for life, established the precedent that betting in baseball is a capital offense. And Pete Rose knew that and thought he was above that. Turns out he wasn't. Yet to me, the guy is still a sympathetic figure. And I just don't understand it. I think it just comes from seeing what he threw away and thinking that, oh, man. And then watching him try to, dance around it, dodge it. I go back, read the Dowd report. I think to the day he died, he never told the truth. Yeah. That's just me. But there's a lot of guys in sports I don't like, and I would still put them where they belong. So it's kind of tough. There's a lot of players that I thought were pricks, jerks, and they all got their due if they were good enough one day. And so
well, look at Ray Lewis. Do you think he deserved to be in the Football Hall of Fame?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Despite his behavior.
Right. But he is a top 3 or 4 middle linebacker I ever saw.
Right.
And I know he was implicated in a murder or whatever it was and pleaded to something. Never even got suspended by the NFL.
Right.
Today that wouldn't happen, but back then I want to say it was like 2001-ish. And yeah, I mean,
so do you think the penalty then, banishment for life, is fair?
no, I don't think it's fair. But
I mean, you get guys that go to prison for a lot less that get out. Or excuse me, you got guys that go to prison for a lot more than betting on a game,
right,
that get out after
sure.
they serve their time.
Right. Is banishment for life. Do I think it's too harsh? Yeah, probably. But I go back to the Black Sox. I go back to the precedent established in baseball.
Yeah.
That your paying customer is not affected by a wager.
Right.
And I just go back to that.
And you're right. That's important.
You can't tell me Pete Rose didn't know that. He knew damn well what he was doing and just decided to screw you. I'm bigger than the game. You can't mess with me. That was his attitude. Now, do I think that was a harsh penalty both in 1919 and now? Yeah, I think it was. I mean, in retrospect, I do. And I guess, again, I fall on the side of putting him in the Hall of Fame and keeping it. And baseball has sent out mixed messages with this.
Yeah.
The All-Century team, I remember in 2000, and Rose was allowed to be there. Baseball's greatest moments.
Yeah.
Rose was allowed to. Well, if he's banned from baseball, what? Why are you bringing him in here? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's sort of. I would just like to see something. And again, the Hall of Fame is a separate entity from Major League Baseball. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I would put him in the Hall of Fame and put it on his plaque. That's to me, that's the fairest way to deal with him all around.
Yeah.
The guy spent 40 years in exile. That's probably enough of a punishment.
Yes, I would agree.
I just think it is. So, and I mean, yeah, you bring up. There's a lot of guys you can bring up. There's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame who did drugs, who, I don't want to bring up like domestic stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of questionable behavior. But I know baseball took a stand on gambling, and that remained. But even in football, I mean, guys like Paul Hornung, the great Green Bay Packer, was put in the Hall of Fame. He was suspended for a year for gambling.
Yeah.
So was Alex Karras, who later was a TV guy, was the dad on Webster, Mr. Papadopoulos.
Right.
He was suspended too. They're both in the Football Hall of Fame. I don't know. I don't know where you draw the line, and none of it's consistent, or anything like that. So, I don't know how you deal with that.
Yeah.
But, and I think Commissioner Giamatti at the time, who died right after the Rose decision, which I think hastened his death.
Yeah.
I think there is something in baseball about not reversing his decision.
Yeah.
There's just an unwritten. Giamatti was only commissioner for about a year.
Yeah.
He had just gotten the job, walked into the Rose situation. It was Giamatti who really boxed Rose into a corner and sort of made him take this deal. And I think he was a big Pete Rose fan.
Yeah.
And I think when he died, it was sort of like, we're not touching that. I think there was we ain't touching it. Bud Selig would openly say it. They were very close. And he's like, I'm not. And Selig always said, I've seen no evidence that will reverse this decision, so I ain't gonna do it. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I go back to sad. I just go back to sad. And I think the reason we go back to Pete Rose is because the guy played every game so hard. The guy's uniform was always filthy. He would do anything to win a game.
Yep.
And I think that's missing. in sports today.
Oh, absolutely.
Guy bent a finger back. Rose would sit out with that.
Yeah.
Oh, your lat is strained. I mean, it just. That's missing in sports today. Yeah. He was an overachiever, and they don't exist anymore.
I have a wooden bat that they imprinted his signature on. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just a tough day in the baseball world.
Yeah.
Aside from the Twins collapse.
Well,
at the end of the year, PU.
That's normal. Welcome to Minnesota sports.
I don't think they could win an inter squad game. I really don't.
Yeah. Well.
So.
Yes.
Getting out of that, diving into the political world. How's that VP debate doing, Jay?
Oh, goodness. I tell you, I don't think there's any question how that turned out when even places like NBC are crying in their...
MSNBC, it was a funeral-like atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I have to say something.
Yeah.
I'm going to defy the critics a little bit here.
Yeah.
And I was watching it on Fox. I watched the analyzing. They had a handful of Harold Ford was on and a few other Democrats. The consensus was that Vance won. I'm going to say two things, though.
Yeah.
I don't think Walz was horrible. That's where again, you got to think like a Democrat here.
Yeah.
I don't think Walz was horrible. I think he was horrible in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Vance kicked his ass in the first 30 minutes or so. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know if CBS helped him out a little bit because they were talking about the economy, about immigration.
Yeah.
And Walz had no answers for any of that.
Right.
It's like Harris. There's nothing they can. Why did you let all these people in the country? Nothing to say. What are you going to do? Nothing to say. Tax credit for nothing to say.
Yeah.
And Vance was very, very tough. He was very tough with the moderators. He did it in a likable way. I thought he came across very good. But I think that either the questions got more favorable to Walz, abortion, and of course they exacerbated January 6th, and of course they just ignored issues like Ukraine, like energy. Vance brought it up just like Trump tried to.
Right.
And
he got cut off.
Yeah, well, he got cut off once. It was 3-on-1 again.
Yeah.
We're not going to see another Harris-Trump debate. No way.
No.
I thought we would. No way. Trump has no incentive to do it. Why go out there if it's going to be 3-on-1? There's just no point.
Right.
But I thought Walz, there was the couple cringy moments about, I don't know how you forget when you're in China at the
right.
Which was in May of '89, and he was there in August and somehow claimed he was. Walz has a problem with not telling the truth and
very much
pretending,
so. Yeah.
He was in Afghanistan, but he wasn't. He was this, but he wasn't that. That was, I can't believe he doesn't. And again, I think Walz did bad partly because they have kept him away from the media, and I don't understand why. I don't get the strategy of hiding, and I believe it's starting to backfire, but that's just me. I don't understand that strategy,
right?
Of not talking, of not Walz could have quelched this crap 2 months ago, and it's lingered because he won't address it. And so there were a couple other bad moments, but I thought the questions got favorable to him. I thought that the CBS moderators were they were commentating in their questions, especially in the second half of the debate. I think they sensed where it was going. But I thought I didn't, other than saying he's friends with school shooters, I didn't think.
Yes.
I disagree a little bit with. I don't think Walz was hurt all that bad by it. The Harris campaign kept trying to set the bar low.
Yeah,
we see why. I think the bigger story to me is Vance doing so well. I think that's the bigger story. And I think that his favorability and likability, the caricature that has been sort of
right
molded by the mainstream media, I think really blew up. I think he showed if you had to choose between these two guys to run the country, I mean, it wasn't close. Walz looked like he was going to cry a couple times.
Yeah.
He looked nervous. And he's a human being. I get it.
But I think that is maybe what hurt Walz the most throughout. I mean, when you would see clips of him and you watch him, like he's wide-eyed, he's like...
Well, it just
what am I doing?
The
here?
split screen was not good. It was kind of like Trump against Biden.
Yeah.
Biden was like in La La Land.
Right.
It was
close to that bad. It wasn't quite that bad.
No, it wasn't. But I think Vance was the story.
Yeah.
I think he won it more than Walz lost it. That's just
I would agree
me.
with that.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, again, the Harris campaign, their whole strategy is to sound good saying nothing.
Uh-huh.
And I think Walz, for the most part, did that. He said nothing new. There was nothing there I haven't heard 500 times. There was, but like I said, I didn't think he bombed. I thought Vance won, and I think that's the takeaway. And the funeral in the mainstream media, I think, was more that they can't pigeonhole JD Vance the way they were. And
right.
I think that's more the frustration. He's a young, articulate guy with a cool demeanor. It's weird how a lot of times the vice presidential candidate's sort of the attack dog.
Yeah.
But Trump's an attack dog.
Right.
So
he doesn't need one.
Right. So Vance, in a different way than Mike Pence maybe, was able to not be that guy and sort of articulate Trump's viewpoint. Trump does it very well, but he's a tougher guy. I mean, Vance is a tough guy too, but I mean, he was likable. And so I think it did. Now, does it move the needle? I mean, I don't know. Does a vice presidential debate do that, Jay? Or is it just a test of, okay, something happened. This guy could take over. Is that all that this is an audition for?
Normally, they don't move the needle unless you have somebody that bombs so horrifically. You know, I'm trying to think of an example.
Well, I go back to the who is the Quayle, Gore, and
right, but yeah, George Bush won.
No.
Oh, you're thinking about Stockdale.
When he walked over to Al Gore's podium or what?
Oh yeah,
I thought he was kind of funny, but it was kind of like, okay, boy, Perot better not get killed here if something happens.
Yeah.
I can't think of a vice president who I thought bombed. I can think of some who didn't. I didn't think John Edwards did well.
No, I think that hurt his campaign.
Maybe. I think Dick Cheney, who I don't care for now, but at the time, Cheney was again that steady, experienced guy that was he's a pretty good debater. But other than that, I can't recall one that I thought Tim Kaine was horrible.
Oh yeah. That may have hurt.
Could, because, Pence was this, whatever you think of Mike Pence, and I got my opinion, but that Pence was a even keel, steady hand guy. So maybe I think they more lose it than they win it. I think you're right on that.
Yeah. But this is a different year. And there's a lot of people who don't like Trump, even though they might like his policies.
Yeah,
they hate him. They hate him. But having a guy that's likable, that is like, okay, this guy's going to be in Trump's ear all the time. I kind of like him. I think it could swing some people. Is enough to move the needle? I don't know. I guess we'll see when the polls start coming out in a week or so. But
yeah, you really have to let it sink in, though. I think the knee-jerk polls are the ones not to watch. You've got to look at them in 7 to 10 days.
But again, in this election cycle, I have never seen the news cycle get yanked back and forth so violently. It's like Harris is getting all of the coverage because of this thing over here. Now Trump's getting all the coverage because of this thing over here. Oh, we've got this. Oh, we got an assassination attempt. Oh, we got this. We got another assassination attempt. We got,
we'll get into some of that stuff in a little bit here, but
it's crazy. I mean, I've never seen a campaign like this, a campaign season like this, where.
Well, first off, you had a candidate get replaced. I mean, which I've never seen to start with.
Right.
You got to go back to Sergeant Shriver and who was McGovern's original Eagleton. You got to go back to that before you see a candidate yanked in the middle of a campaign before.
Yeah.
So that's true. It has been strange. I think though that what they're going after is a small percentage of voters, though, and I think that's what's hard to read. And I don't know how you take into account the people who've already voted. I mean, if you look at what's the 7 swing states, which I think there's more than that, but if you look at the 7 that the media is obsessed with, as of October 4th, tomorrow, when we're recording this, early voting started there.
Yeah.
And the Republicans in the states that they can tabulate this are doing way better than they were in 2020. Now, I don't know if that's due to COVID, Republicans doing a better job of it. Trump certainly is. He has a whole division in his campaign, Charlie Kirk and some other people working on early voting. So I don't know if that's what it is, but I mean, there's not a lot of time to change gears here. Right. This just isn't. So it's kind of, we talk about that season getting compressed. I mean, it's very much going on right now. And I will tell you, I look at these, for the polls for what they're worth. I wish I could ignore them.
Yeah.
I wish I could just wait for 4 weeks and just not pay attention. But I can't, Jay. I'm a political junkie, and I just cannot go away from it. I can't turn away from them. And the polls, I don't know if they're correcting themselves. A lot of them don't make sense.
Right.
I don't believe the general election polls. I do not believe that. I actually think there's a good chance Trump will win the popular vote. I think they're wrong, because I think he'll win the red states by so much more.
Right.
That I think he'll gain a point or two just from that, maybe more. And the way it looks right now with Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and North Carolina all moving to him.
Yeah.
I just, something's wrong with the polls.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, one of the most inaccurate pollsters is Quinnipiac. I don't know why anybody looks at them.
Yes.
But it was strange what they released about a week ago.
Yes.
They have the general election at 49-49.
Uh-huh.
Now, that could be right. However, they have Trump down 5 points in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. If it's even, Trump has 300 electoral votes or more.
Right.
There's no way he loses Pennsylvania under that scenario. Yet they have him way ahead in Georgia. It's like something in their methodology is screwed up, and I don't know what it is.
It has to be, because, I mean, if you're
How do you read that, though?
If you're looking at a popular vote that's equal, and you take into account California, you take into account New York, you take into account, even in Texas, cities that are Democratic, like Houston and Dallas. I'm sorry, but the popular vote should always favor the Democrats, because cities and population centers always vote Democrat. And that is exactly why we have an electoral college instead of using the popular vote, because the cities should not run the country.
Right. I mean, yeah, no doubt about it. I think it's just I think it's just strange how the popular vote is so focused on so-and-so's leading the race, which means nothing.
Right.
It just doesn't mean anything. And I actually still think you look at. I mean, the ball in New York has moved. Trump's not going to win it, but he's going to lose it by a lot less than he did last time.
Absolutely.
The ball in New Jersey has moved. You look at Virginia, and the Harris campaign claims that they're way ahead in New Hampshire, blah, blah, blah. Well, just 2 weeks ago, Harris was in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Why is she there if she's way ahead?
Right.
It tells me her internals don't say that. Mm-hmm. And Trump was in Virginia just not last weekend, the weekend before. So I still think that the map's expanding. I also look at the union vote, the Latino vote. There's a poll in Michigan that Trump's winning among Arab Americans. If he wins that demographic, there's no chance he could lose Michigan.
There's also a poll in Michigan that he is winning among the youth.
Yes, I know. I saw that.
Yes.
So, I mean, how could he win that and lose and then be 4 points behind? How could he be behind nationally if he's doubled the Hispanic vote?
Yeah, I've never understood this.
Yes, it's impossible for him to do better on all these demographics and then lose the popular vote. I mean,
we hear about all the African Americans coming to Trump, all the Latinos coming to Trump, all of the young people coming to Trump.
What are they all in Arizona? I mean,
or are there that many Dick Cheneys that are defecting over to the Democrat Party?
No, I don't think there's that many. No, because for every Dick Cheney, there's a Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
So I don't. For every Liz Cheney, there's a Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's true. So maybe it breaks even. I don't know. He won Bill Kristol. You can have him. To me. So I don't know. I mean, of course, it depends on where they are. That's the other thing that I go. I mean, I go back to general polls. Where are they being taken? Does anybody ever ask a pollster? Can you tell me, where these people or what state they're from,
right,
and what, did you do men and women equally? Did you pull an X amount of black folks, X amount of Hispanic folks, X amount of young people, old people that represent the country? I mean, I can't. And here's the other thing. Pollsters will tell you that they deal with this in their margin of error, but I'm telling you, all anyone looks at is the headline.
Yeah.
They don't look at, we could be off by 4 points. Oh, okay. Well, so somebody who's up by 2 could be losing by 2 in this poll.
Right.
They don't tell you that, when ABC reports it, they don't say that. So I just have the gut feeling, and I could be wrong, Jay. I mean, I could be wrong that the election is swinging to Trump. I really, really feel that. There's just a feeling I've got that this is, and I also watch the two campaigns. I mean, you watch how they act. Harris isn't acting like someone in the lead.
No.
She's acting like somebody behind, not knowing what to do next, not knowing what outlet to go to, not knowing what state to go to. And Trump is the steady. It's weird to call Trump the steady, because I think Trump likes the fight.
Yeah,
I think
he does.
So it's kind of different to see him like that. So
it's strange, though. You've seen a change in the Harris campaign where they're doing more events, like going to the wall, doing this, doing that, but they still refuse to take a single question.
Well, and they refuse to take a stand on anything. And again, yes. I go back to what I hear out of people in these focus groups and people talking, saying, I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know who she is. She won't tell me who she is. And they're going to vote for the known over the unknown. There was a lady in Nevada who was one of these people. You could tell she did not like Trump.
Yeah.
But she goes, I got to say this. The guy pisses me off and he's got diarrhea of the mouth. But my life was better when he was president.
Yeah.
And I don't like him, but you know what? He did this and he did that and blah, blah, blah. You could tell she's going to vote for him.
Uh-huh.
But again, that's a voter Harris should have. That's a voter Harris could easily get if she would, can't do something different than she's doing. And I just think the strategy, how do you say nothing for 3 months and then all of a sudden change course? They're stuck with us.
Yeah.
They're stuck with the joy and the burden of being unburdened. And I grew up in a middle-class home and I had a nice lawn, and they're stuck with that.
Yeah.
How do you change course now?
I don't.
This were July, you could.
Yeah.
In October, you can't.
Nope.
So, I don't know. Anyhow, but I will say this about Vance. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is he forget whether Trump wins or loses,
Yeah.
but especially if Trump wins, is he the 2028 leading guy right now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're going to have Ron DeSantis potentially, who could give him a run for his money.
He can't run again for governor.
Right.
So
I think
how about a Vance DeSantis ticket?
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. I was actually thinking about that earlier today.
Two guys that are both younger than me. I
know there's something wrong with that. I need to pick things up in my life.
No kidding. I watched that movie on JD Vance, and I'm like, golly,
is it good?
Very good. And 15, 20 years ago, this guy, was a Marine in Iraq, and then to see what he's become since then is an incredible thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to have somebody from the what I call country club Republicans, but you're going to have a Haley, Pence, Christie type person.
You're going to have in this party anymore. I don't think.
Maybe not. I mean, you're seeing, like I said, this is a political realignment, and I think a lot of it will depend on Trump if he can keep this coalition together and deliver on it, which I think he will, and I think he will be able to.
Yeah.
It may be unstoppable for a guy like Vance. Very possible. So, but I think he's probably the leading guy, win, lose, or draw, because if Trump loses, it's going to be by a razor thin margin that wouldn't hurt Vance.
Right.
It's not a Walter Mondale thing. So, funny too. I got to say something too about MSNBC. They did this whole, I can't remember what show this was, about how Florida's in play.
Yeah.
Trump's only up by 7 in one poll. It's in play.
Only by 7.
And I'm like, okay.
One poll.
Real Clear Politics, 270 to win, and the 538 blog. I had Biden winning Florida in 2020.
Right.
And we know who won Florida.
Handily.
Okay. And we know who... And let me tell you something. If Florida was in play with 30 electoral votes, that's 3 Wisconsins, 3 Arizonas. Are you telling me the Harris campaign wouldn't be there?
Yep.
Their internal polls show her down by 10 or more.
Yeah.
Just trust me, folks. Trust me, they do. So, anyhow. The Veep. I look back. I watched the Benson Quayle debate on YouTube.
Why?
Just for fun, just to do this. I mean, if you go to, I don't know if it's PBS or C-SPAN's YouTube. I don't know. I can't remember where it was, but they have all the debates going back to 76.
Okay.
And I got to say, Dan Quayle looks like he's 15.
Yeah.
And Lloyd Benson looked like he was 106. It was such a contrast. Now, Quayle was probably 40-ish, maybe about Vance's age, maybe, something like that. I thought he actually looked quite a bit older in 92. Maybe he was just more polished and a better communicator. But I could have mistaken him for a guy in high school. He did fine in the debate, but I mean, I was just the contrast between him and Lord Benson was just unbelievable between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, Lloyd Benson looked like he'd smoked like 4 packs of cigarettes that day, which he might have. I don't know. And so it was. But go back and watch it. Quite the debate. Always remember what George Bush Sr. said about Dan Quayle. Pick Dan Quayle for vice president. Made a good selection. Good selection. Just remember that, because that's what he got to do. The speaking an incomplete sentence, George Bush Sr. that Dana Carvey made so famous.
Yeah.
So, Jay,
yeah,
I'm gonna make you dictator of the world,
and
I'm gonna send you to the Middle East right now.
Oh boy,
what are you doing in the Middle East? Just chaos.
I'm getting out as soon as I can. That's what I'm doing. Going straight to the ticket counter and goodness, yeah, the Middle East. It's just another.
What can be done over there? I mean, let's just start with.
Let me put this in perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take this back in history. Some 4,000 odd years, and you had this guy, right, named Abraham. He was named Abram at this time. Mm-hmm. His name hadn't changed yet, and his wife.
That always confused me when I was younger. By the way.
Yeah, always. That confused you that his name changed?
Yeah. I was like, is that the same guy? Is that Abram?
Yes. So it was promised to him that he was going to have, but by God, that he was going to have descendants as vast as the seas. And he had a wife named Sarai, who later her name was changed to Sarah. They were unable to conceive, however, despite this promise. So they, Sarai had this great idea. Hey, why don't you get together with my maidservant, Hagar the Horrible, and
is that Sammy?
Sammy Hagar, maybe. I always think Hagar the Horrible, like the Viking in that comic strip. And they did, and Ishmael was born. Now, ever since that point, Sarai became jealous of Hagar, and eventually she became pregnant with Isaac when she was like 99 years old, right?
Really?
It was a miracle. There, at that time...
Didn't they kill each other, the kids?
No.
Oh, no.
I mean, that was Cain and Abel.
Yeah, Cain and Abel, yeah.
So... Sarai, by this time, I believe she was Sarah, I'd have to look for sure, told Abraham that she had to send Hagar and Ishmael away. And since then, there has been enmity between these siblings. Ishmael growing up into all of the Middle Eastern people, and Isaac growing up into the Jewish population, right?
Really?
Yes. And so since that time, you have had trouble between Ishmael and Isaac, and we're supposed to think we're going to solve it.
Well, you should have went back and artificially inseminated Sarai, and then we wouldn't have had this problem, because you wouldn't have brought Sammy Hagar.
I don't think they have VCF back then or whatever. But
that's a problem right there.
So
here's my question,
yes.
though. What's it take to get civilizations to not kill each other anymore? I mean,
well, and
why can't Israel and Isaac, or Isaac and Rocket Ishmael, why can't they just say, all right, you know what, you go live in your own country, I'll go live in my country, and we'll just have nothing to do with you anymore?
Right. Permission to speak freely?
Permission to speak freely.
If you look at the historical account, Israel was always considered God's people. He from the time that Abraham decided to trust him by faith and make him his God and walked with him, Israel became the people of God. And so they had God's favor. So there was always, with Ishmael then, an opposing spiritual force, a demonic force that is poised to try and take out Israel. And so you're really looking at something that at a spiritual level is irreconcilable. And it surfaces all the time. Look at throughout history, the Jews were attacked by the Assyrians. They were conquered by the Greeks. They were conquered by Rome. Even before the Greeks, they were captured and taken away by Babylon, and then finally let go back into their land by the Persians. You had the whole period where you had the Christians and the Muslims and the Jews and through the Crusades with all of that, and there was always this who was going to control Jerusalem, right? But it was always the Jews who were kind of getting caught in the middle. And then you have Adolf Hitler and what he did to the Jews, and ever since
and Stalin is total anti-Semite.
Yeah, absolutely. What they did to the Jews in the Soviet Union there, and that the Jews had never had a home all the way from 70 AD when the temple was destroyed, basically, all the way till 1960
48
48.
Yeah.
Yes, 1948. And that is when they finally had a place to call home, the original footprint of the land that they had thousands of years ago, right? The 2,000 years where they really had not been able to be a part of that land. So, but they were restored. Only people ever to be out of a land that long come back with the original footprint of the land, the original language, the original customs, and all of it. It's the only time that's ever happened. But yet, there is still this spiritual thing that this stronghold, this
ancestral hate
is always trying to snuff the Jews out. Yeah. And we've seen it here in this country with what's happened with the Palestinian protests.
As high as I've ever seen it in this country.
Absolutely. This used to be a very welcome place for Jews to come.
Sure, go back to after World War II. How many Jewish people decided to come to the United States?
Yeah,
as refugees, or they were obviously persecuted. Some chose to go to Israel. Some chose to stay. Some chose to come here. No doubt about it.
But yeah, I mean, that is
sad.
Really, in a nutshell, that's the history of what we're looking at. That's the spiritual, that's what's going on behind the curtain that we can't see, is that they're, because they're God's people, the devil, or whatever you want to say, Satan, the demons, want to destroy God's people. Now, that's why Iran calls Israel the little Satan and us the big Satan, because Christians are just as much evil to them as Jews are, so.
Well, the thing too, I'm so struck by the rise of anti-Semitism in this country. I'm so struck by the rise of here you have the Democratic Party who preaches that they're the most tolerant people, they're the most welcoming people, and yet if you're Jewish, that kind of comes with if you get in the way of our politics, then that's. I mean, I am very afraid, just like I am of the Ukraine-Russia situation, that we're going to get dragged into we're already in a proxy war with both.
Right.
And we're going to get dragged into a bigger conflict here. Now,
it's not going to take a lot either.
No,
let me just add that I don't think we need to join Israel in attacking Iran directly. All Iran needs to do is block off the straits for us to be able to get oil freely in and out of that area, and we're going to do something about it.
Right, but I also just Israel is capable of defending themselves, but is it in Israel's best interest too to enlarge this into a larger war? I keep thinking, you've got, because look, to be honest, they're surrounded with Syria on one side.
Yeah,
you got Gaza and all the problems on the border down there.
Right.
That's the terrorist stronghold. Lebanon to the north.
Yeah.
Israel's the next, or Iran is, 2 countries over.
Right.
And then you've got, and I think Iran has a nuclear weapon. I really do. I think they don't have the delivery system. I think that's what they can't do. They can't deliver one.
Could be.
So, is Israel in their best interest to try to end this in one kaboom? Is it their best interest? Because how many times have they tried to sit down and, everybody calls for a ceasefire. Well, a ceasefire doesn't work unless 2 sides agree. And
right. What
about the hostages that have been there for a year?
Yeah.
We forget about that. A couple of them are still Americans, I believe.
Yeah.
How do we avoid a larger conflict here?
Well,
is that dependent on our enemies?
Well, I
don't want to get into what I don't want is another Iraq, another Afghanistan.
Right. And I don't want to get pulled into that either.
So how do we not? Israel has no choice. Okay, they've got to fight back. But
yeah.
Fight back to what? What's the end game?
Well, I don't know if they're, with the weakness that we have in our administration, I don't know that there's any ending it. I believe that you get somebody with strength like President Trump to come in and say to Iran, all right, I'm putting sanctions back on you.
Yeah, where are the sanctions?
I am going to. You are getting no more money from us. We are going to bankrupt you again.
And we're going to get oil from our country.
Yep. We're not buying anything from you, and I think you really need to take it to them economically to crush them. I think that's what's in our best interest. That doesn't really, and it does trickle down, though. It trickles down to Hezbollah, trickles down to Hamas, trickles down to the Houthis, because then Iran can't be sending them money so that they can have rockets and everything else. It's what
Hezbollah's being financed by somebody.
Yeah, it's what we can do best. Instead of giving them millions upon millions of dollars, like our government has done in the last 3.5 years.
I don't understand it. What are we thinking?
Just stupid. I can't even think of a reason why we would give Iran cash. I can't think of one single reason why we would ever need to give that country cash.
I have no clue either. No idea. Unless we're buying off something.
I don't know.
There's a deal under the table that we don't know about.
But, Israel's always said that they can fight their own battles. I say we hands off, let them. And if they feel like they need to go and take out their nuclear facilities, if they feel like they need to hit the Revolutionary Guard headquarters, if they feel like they need to go again into Lebanon or whatever, you let them do it. It's their battle. And we see, again, throughout history, where it has been war after war after war, where these countries that surround Israel have come after Israel.
And Israel's kicked their ass every time.
Single time, yeah.
The 6-day war.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is to hurt them. But let me back off of Israel for a minute, because I don't know what the solution is over there. I just think that whole region's just chaos.
Yeah, and it will be until the end of time.
Yeah. So I don't know that there is a solution in that area that both sides can live with forever. Again, you also have Israel, a democracy. In the other countries, these tribal dictatorships, So minds are never going to change over there.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. How do you change people's minds when you don't have free and open discussion? It just never can happen.
Well, and again, I'll go back to Scripture one more time, and you look at the book of Ezekiel, and it talks about Gog and Magog getting together. That is Russia and Iran, and those two have never been allied before, never worked together. They're starting to now, and so Iran is going to be a problem till the end.
Right. And again, part of that is on the Biden administration because of what's happened with Russia and Ukraine. Russia's looking for partners. They're looking to make the ruble strong.
Yeah.
You know, against a weak dollar. Go back to, I can't believe in a vice presidential. There's two questions I can't believe weren't asked.
Yeah.
One, once again, no question on Biden.
Right.
What did you know, Mr. Walz? You came up and said Biden was great. Biden dance circle. Obviously, that was a lie.
Yeah.
No questions on Ukraine and Russia.
Right.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of people are dying in these wars.
We're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. We're sending weapon systems to Ukraine. We're training them how to use it.
We're paying for their government pensions.
Yes. And yet that's not worthy of one question in a debate.
Yeah, you know, and at what point is Zelensky going to move to Switzerland with all the money he swindled from us? I don't trust that guy.
No.
Ukraine cancels elections and Russia has them?
Yeah.
I don't trust them whatsoever.
No.
You know, and we installed Zelensky's government. That's something that's not talked about either.
Our State Department
under the
absolutely
Biden
did
administration, it was totally Biden, John Kerry.
Under Obama's administration.
Right. Obama's second term. That's when that happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the end game there? I mean, I love Trump's moxie about how he's going to go there and end it before he takes office in January. I hope that's true.
He was speaking with Zelensky.
Yeah, he
day.
was.
Yeah.
And Zelensky, I think, recognizes the mistakes that he made by following Harris around in Pennsylvania. I think he was used as a prop, and I think he sees that now. But what's the end game there? I mean, what's going to end that horrible war that's going on there?
Yeah, it has to end. People are dying.
3 years almost.
Yeah,
going on.
Absolutely. I don't know that it ends without giving up some of that land in the Donbass region and stuff. It might
even all the way down to Belarus. I mean, if you look at the territory that's already been taken, Russia's not going to agree to just that. Like, hey, whoa, we already have that.
Yeah.
So something else is going to have to come about there.
I think it's going to take strength again. I think that President Trump is going to have to go in to Vladimir Putin and say, all right, NATO is going to take everything back. We're going to push back. We're not going to admit Ukraine into
that's been a red line
into
for a
NATO.
while.
We will not do that, and we're going to make sure that we're no longer involved in what's going on in Ukraine. We'll pull our money out. We'll pull our weapons out. We will hands-off policy on Ukraine so long as you get out and you stay out. The moment you cross that line into Ukraine again, you are going to, again, get such crippling economic sanctions that you are not going to be able to...
Now, here's the other part, though. With Russia, the economic sanctions are a double-edged sword.
Right.
You got to be careful there because they can turn to China.
Right.
That could bring them closer to Iran.
Yeah.
The economic I think there needs to be a carrot there.
There does need to be a carrot.
To sort of get that to stop.
But I think part of that is pulling out of that area, getting NATO the heck out of there.
Well, Trump's really the only president that didn't expand NATO.
Right.
He was very careful not to. Look, ever since 1989, NATO's been moving east, even though we promised that wouldn't happen.
Right.
We've violated that.
Moving into Turkey. Why does Turkey need to be a part of NATO?
I have no idea. The North Atlantic. What is NATO? What is NATO?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, look, if if Mexico joined the Warsaw Pact, we would not accept it as
Right.
Americans.
Right.
So that's the equivalent. I'm not siding with Putin. I hate this war.
Yeah.
Okay? But you have to understand how your enemy thinks.
Yeah.
You have to think like they do.
Right.
And when somebody says, look, you cannot be on my doorstep.
Yep.
Go do what you want to, but you're not gonna put NATO with atomic weapons and all that and
Yeah.
aim it at my country. That ain't happening.
Right.
So yeah, I think they are gonna have to pull NATO back, and I think NATO may have to, and I think Trump could get this if he finagled it the right way.
Yeah.
They got to take NATO and completely redefine it and completely redo it
Yeah.
and completely go, okay, what is our mission here?
Yeah. Well, and I think here's a way that he can do this is that, again, Biden's pouring money into NATO after Trump solved that, and they were paying their fair share,
Yeah.
and they're not now. I think all Trump has to say, you know what? You're going to do this so that this war ends, or we're out. No, not one more dollar from us. We're done.
Maybe.
And I think
that worked the last time.
and
And he got criticized like crazy, even though he got
Yeah.
results.
Yep. He doesn't care about criticism.
No,
he cares about
didn't.
results.
Yeah, he didn't care at all. And I think this is also where Trump really has to surround himself with his people.
Yeah.
He can't do, and I think he realized, we've talked about this before, he realizes this was a mistake.
Yeah.
To try to satisfy every wing of the party, to put a John Bolton here, a Mike Pompeo there. I think he recognizes that was a mistake.
Yeah.
That he has to bring in people that will follow through on his policies.
Yes.
Not yes, man. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm just saying people that share the same goals and vision that he does.
Right.
And I think that is really critical. I think there were a couple times he got some bad advice. I think he reluctantly agreed to a few things. His instincts told him that it was wrong. I think he sees now. I mean, Trump ain't going to say I was wrong.
Right.
But he's but him saying this stuff is kind of an admission of, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I ain't going to make that mistake again. So, yeah, I just hope they end. I just hope, especially the Ukraine-Russia. It is such a shame how news from there is being censored. If people really knew what we were funding over there
Yeah.
and how bad it really is, which you won't watch NBC, you won't find that. They don't report on that. They don't say a word about it.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's journalistic malpractice to
Yes.
not report the truth out of there. People are just thousands of people dying a day. It's horrible, just awful. And I believe that the Biden administration has a hand in it. I believe they perpetuated it.
I believe so too.
Oh, God, just what a bastard. Just an absolute God, this guy is so horrid. It's incredible. Speaking of horrid.
But it's not him. It's the people. He's not running anything. He hasn't been running anything.
No, he has. Harris won't be running anything either.
No.
She'll be the puppet that gets
It's
dictated
Obama and Clinton
to,
people that are running
gets
everything.
dictated to by whoever's running our government.
It's Obama and Clinton people that are running everything.
Yeah, and I still come back to who?
Valerie Jarrett, and
That's just one of them.
Janet Yellen. I mean, she was there in Obama's.
She's the money person.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I would say Obama's probably very involved as well. I mean, he's got a place in Washington D.C. No other president has stayed in D.C. after
what
their term was
for?
up.
Who'd stay in D.C.? You want to get out of there and go take a shower somewhere. That's
right.
Get out. Oh, goodness. I have never. Have you ever been to Washington D.C., Jim?
Yeah, I have.
I've always wanted to go. Now I never want to go.
Yeah,
I just ugh. The thought of going there is just kind of disgusts me.
Yeah, if I went there, I might consider wanting to be on the receiving end at Ford's Theater of a reenactment. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
It's bad.
Yeah, there's so many things I'd like to see, but
It is awesome to see. I'll say that, or it was when I went in the early '90s. Seeing Arlington Cemetery and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, going to Jefferson and Lincoln memorials, going to the Smithsonian. I mean, it is all like it's
it does hit
impressive,
you,
yeah. But there's I don't know.
It's just it's lost its luster.
Yeah,
in my eyes, just everything about our government has.
Well, there's something wrong when you have a town that is completely run. It's a government town. That's what it is, and it has more growth and more construction than any other city in the U.S.
Really?
Yes. That tells you we're spending too much flipping money.
Yeah, all the lobbyists and all they're moving there.
Just the growth of government departments.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a lot of them have gone over to Virginia, which has changed Virginia a lot. A lot of them gone over the river to Northern Virginia, which has changed that state.
Absolutely.
Like people moving from California to Colorado. It's spread everything the wrong way.
Yep.
So, Jay, I got to talk. I love the whole political October surprise.
Yes.
I just love the speculation about it. The October surprise. What is up with this Jack Smith guy and trying to? This is criminal.
Yeah.
What this guy's doing. This is election interference. This is an unnecessary thing by him and whoever the judge is. And this is all MSNBC wants to talk about is January 6th.
Oh, of course it is.
The only thing they care about. The public at large ignores
this. It's been debunked entirely.
Well,
it's been entirely debunked. There was a handful of bad actors. Some of them were feds. Some of them were Antifa. And then there were some other fairly decent people that got wrapped up in it, and they were dumb.
Well, and I think if Trump wins, you're going to see the real truth of that come out. I think again that's hidden in a box somewhere. There's people that are locked away from January 6th still have not had their day in court, and so
which is unbelievable.
It's incredible, and it's incredible that no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares that American citizens are put away for years without trial and without facing their accusers.
Right.
Total violation of everything we still forget. I mean, the mainstream media will crow about the rights of accused murderers, but you were involved in January 6th, you get the guillotine.
Right.
So, I mean, I hope that stuff all comes out and the truth comes out. Look, Trump's going to do a document dump, I think, in January. That's going to be something to behold. And it may not be the first thing everybody goes through, but I think you're going to see a lot of dirty secrets come out of there. And I think that's a lot of what's like you and I talked about in a previous episode about these foreign policy Republicans supporting Harris. They don't want their role in something to come out. I think it's all about that. I think it has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, I think so too.
No.
I think that
first off, does this have any effect on the election? I mean, I personally think everybody's opinion is made up on January 6th, on 2020. I think people are way more concerned about what's going on right now. It's almost like the Trump trials become kind of a circus sideshow.
Right.
I mean, does it mean anything anymore? This is obviously an attempt to change the news cycle.
Absolutely.
And obviously, again, this tells me Trump's winning. Yeah. Why do this if he's way behind? If he's 8 points behind, what does it matter? Well, clearly nobody believes that.
Right.
So is that where we're at with this?
And allowing Jack Smith to do this at this point within...
Yeah, Trump's under a gag order, but this guy can do anything he wants.
Right.
You know what? I honestly think people see through it. I think more and more people, and I'm not sure I would have said this 15 or 20 years ago, but I think it's changed. In fact, I want to go back to the Veep debate. That was one of the best points that Vance made. Walz said something about, we got to trust experts. We got to listen to the experts. And Vance said, man, the hell with the experts.
Yeah.
He didn't say it that way. He said it in a very likable way. But it's like, yeah, you know what? The experts said this and they were wrong. The experts said that and they were wrong. People have had it with experts.
Yeah.
Just had it. So, I mean, but I mean, obviously we know what the motive is behind this. We learned nothing new in this, really. I don't think.
No.
Nothing I haven't heard alleged before. And this
it's 100 new pages of stuff.
Yeah, but it's all grand jury stuff that has not faced cross-examination.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we make out of this? Does this go away in a few days? Is this just an attempt to try to get Trump on the defensive, to get the Veep debate off the front page? What's the point?
You know, it's funny. The Democrats always project, right? They always do what they accuse other people of doing. A couple days ago, maybe it was a week, Hillary Clinton was out saying that, watch, you have to ignore the Republicans because they're going to come out with an October surprise, and it's going to be, they're going to try and, swing the election but who did it? It was them, right? Again, it was the Democrats that did it. But now, I'm saying this because I don't know, I had a thought today. This may not happen, but I had a thought. In that same audio, Hillary Clinton is talking about how about the Pizzagate thing, right?
Yeah.
And how that was used against her. It's odd she brought that up when in a few days the list of the P. Diddy stuff is going to be released.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wonder if her and Bill might show up on that list, and if maybe even Kamala Harris shows up on that list.
Is that the October surprise?
I wonder. and if she's trying to deflate that, and before it comes
P.
out.
Diddy had nothing to do with Trump.
Right. But they don't want it to negatively affect Harris either. Right? So, this is just a dirty trick from the Republicans. But they might already know who all is wrapped up in
I'm
this thing.
sure they do. You know if you're guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. And it's funny, Hillary, who says nothing, it's funny that all of a sudden she's talking.
Right.
Which is also strange.
So I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I am saying it's interesting because there's a possibility. You release this statement and you bring up a scandal about trafficking children and what hogwash it was, and the Republicans are going to try an October surprise like this again, and that list is going to be released very soon. I don't know if it's going to be before the election or not, but they said very soon. So
it's going to be leaked. If there's political stuff on it, it'll be leaked by somebody. It'll be like the Supreme Court. They'll investigate it. There's 5 people who had access to it, and they don't know who did it.
So with trafficking of children, is that enough to make people turn away from voting for Harris?
Well, I don't know, because
if she showed up on the list.
Because to me, the trafficking stories are out there right now.
Yeah.
I think it is hurting them. I think the whole border thing is hurting. Clearly it is. I mean, there's no question that it's hurting.
Yeah.
I don't know that issue is enough. It seems like it may be in a few key states, but I don't know. Here's the other thing: will the media report it? I mean, because here's the other thing: if that just comes out on the Blaze, or the New York Post, or the Washington Times, or on Fox, will it be dismissed as right-wing garbage? I mean, that's
of course.
Yeah.
The laptop. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, will it be suppressed on Google? Will it be, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, already we're seeing with the Doug Emhoff story that he punched a girlfriend or slapped a girlfriend or something like that. We're already seeing that story get buried. I mean, it's been reported in some areas, but if you Google that, you have to if you Google Doug Emhoff, you will not see it on that entire front page. You have to Google Doug Emhoff punches his girlfriend in the face to get the New York Post or somebody like that to come up with the story.
Yeah.
Oh, where are all these women's rights? Where are you Me Too people? Where are you? And why does it matter who does it? Why does it matter what his politics are?
It does.
Oh, now, I mean, it's weird how that story comes out now. That's strange.
Yeah.
I don't know who broke it. I don't know how it was broken. But the guy is just slime. The guy just seems like he's total slime.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that story is true.
I don't either, but again...
But he did have an affair with the babysitter.
Well, and one
true.
other affair. He's had two.
Okay.
And, of course, one of them cost him his first marriage.
Yes.
And the question becomes, okay, so the guy's slime, but once again, it's going to linger because they don't talk.
Yeah.
I mean, even Bill Clinton came out and sat down for an interview where, again, he didn't say anything, but he said it well. But it was like, my marriage has had problems over the years. And, one time when Chelsea was a baby, I remember there was something funny on TV and milk shot out her nose. And then we blah, blah, blah. I mean, he said nothing,
right.
But Clinton didn't run away for a month. I mean, Emhoff's going to hide. The story's going to linger, and then they're just going to hope it goes away.
Right.
But Harris won't be asked about it because she doesn't speak. So, I mean... is this an October surprise? But Kamala Harris has been the vice president for 4 years.
True.
Where has this story been?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the answer. Did Emhoff buy her off? I mean, because we've heard of stories like that you get bought off by somebody or whatever.
Right.
And, somebody runs for something and somebody does some digging and they find certain things. I mean, and let me tell you something. Let me ask you this. Are we okay? We got 30 days ish.
Yeah.
What is the October surprise? Forget P. Diddy for a minute.
Okay.
Is there another October surprise somewhere?
I don't know.
That moves the ball.
Right. Yeah.
Not regurgitated January 6th crap.
Yeah, that's not moving the ball. I really don't think the Doug Emhoff thing moves the ball at all. I think that it's far enough removed away from Harris. It might make people feel empathy for her, if anything.
Possibly. But I thought we got rid of men who acted like this.
Right.
This is Brett Kavanaugh here. I thought we didn't make excuses for men like this.
Right. Well, it's different when it happens in the Democrat circles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, other than the P. Diddy thing, I don't know. I mean, that has a possibility of being huge or being nothing.
Is there... I hate to say another assassination attempt.
Well, there could always be that.
Is there something breaking in that? Because I'm still not seeing coverage of what happened to this last. I still see no answers. Trump makes an unannounced that he does a round of golf before leaving to do a fundraiser that Sunday night.
Yeah.
Nobody knew he was going to be there.
Right. And we know that's true.
How did this shooter know?
Glenn Beck tells a story that he was at Mar-a-Lago the night before having dinner with the president and knew
I didn't know that.
What his schedule was going to be the next day. Golf was not on that schedule.
Right. So
he verified that.
Really? Yeah. So I didn't hear Beck say that. So
he was at an event with him and I think Elon Musk and Robert Kennedy Jr. and So
how did this person know to be there?
Somebody had to tip him off. He didn't fly all the way from Hawaii on $48 to not have him show up.
But again, where's the investigative reporting? Where's the? I mean,
Right.
Forget Trump for a minute. A bunch of people could have gotten killed here.
Well, supposedly DeSantis is working on that, so I assume there's something.
Him,
happening.
I trust to get to the bottom of it. But,
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I still come back to, it's almost like these events didn't happen. That's what it feels like sometimes.
Right.
Like this. I don't know. I'm very concerned.
Uh-huh.
For Trump's life. I'm very, especially as it looks
Yes.
more and more like he's going to win. That something, and I know, look, we know Donald Trump. He's going to Butler next week.
He sure is.
He's not going, I mean, I don't, but does he, I don't know. I feel like another event is coming like that.
Yeah.
It's
That could
very
very well
scary.
be. That could very well be.
And I'd like to know, how come no liberals are trying to figure out where this guy got his gun?
Right.
Was that registered? Was it?
Well, no.
Do you go through a 7-day waiting period?
Absolutely not. You know why? Because before this event, he was arrested for holding up in an office with an automatic weapon. He was a felon and should not have had a firearm at all.
Those gun laws really work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible.
Yeah, so no, he did not legally have this gun. But yet our government knew for sure that he was out of the country with firearms, recruiting people from Iran or from Afghanistan to go fight in Ukraine. Had you heard that?
No.
Oh yeah.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah. He had done interviews with Newsweek, with the New York Times, with some other big publication talking about it, and he would take them out of Afghanistan, put them through Iran to get false passports so he could take them up into Ukraine. I don't know how successful he was at it. Some people think he's nuts. Some people think he was working with the feds. I don't know what the answer is. Because I haven't seen any further investigations come out about it. But somehow this guy who has $48 in his bank account, has a $600,000 place in Hawaii, is able to come here.
I'd love to have friends like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I mean, as long as it wasn't the FBI, CIA, or State Department, I'd rather not have those friends at all.
No, because you'll get taken out the second you're not useful anymore.
But so this guy is traveling the world constantly, going over and recruiting fighters.
What's his
for
job?
Ukraine.
What does he work as?
I don't know that
You got time to go over to
He was like
Afghanistan?
a painter or something like that, and a bad one at that, from what I understand.
You got time to go take a couple weeks off and recruit people to fight for Ukraine?
Yeah.
Well, the guy's getting paid by somebody. Why is that so hard to figure out, by the way? I mean, did the guy have a bank account? Did he have
he
a
had
credit
like
card?
$48 in his bank account.
Okay, but I mean, he's getting paid off by something.
Yeah.
I just get the feeling November 6th, we're going to know a lot more about these two attempts.
Yeah. I mean, we still know nothing about the other guy.
Nothing.
Nothing.
All we see is his 7th grade picture.
Yeah.
We know absolutely zero. And that, the idea that he's 20 and has no social media or nothing, I don't believe. I believe it was scrubbed by someone.
Overseas profiles? What? Something is screwy. I mean, both of these people have like substantial overseas connections and activity.
I know there's some sort of Manchurian can. There's some sort of Sirhan in this. There's just there's an element of this that I can't. Again, I go back to our government. No matter what, will sell us the lone gunman, the crazy guy with no motive. And how many times are we going to fall for it?
Yeah.
How many times?
Sometimes I think we're at the point where we don't really believe anything the government tells us anymore. Most of us.
But this is where the government has to understand that the truth is the best deodorant.
Right.
If you lie and omit things and hide things, it only enhances the belief that it's BS.
But if these things are true, you cannot say those to the public because I don't know what we would do. Now,
I'll tell you what we
if
do.
It's just incompetence, you should say those things.
Impossible. Impossible. This is just incompetence.
Yeah.
It can't be that. Nobody's this incompetent. It's either half incompetent and half deliberate. Maybe the people on the ground don't know everything. Look, the bank teller doesn't know everything the bank manager knows. So that's a possibility.
Sure.
But I got to say, it's all about protecting the institutions. What would happen? CIA wouldn't survive. It'd be gone. There's no question it would be gone.
Yep.
The FBI would be gone too.
Yes.
Every government agency that isn't involved in it would get an anal exam.
Yes.
Which is exactly what they don't want. I mean, the CIA has had 49 years of no oversight.
Right.
Not since the Church Committee in 1975 has this agency been made accountable to answer to anything.
And how are you going to make them accountable? Because anytime they're called in to testify, all they say is, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to
It's
that.
a classified
I don't know the answer to
document.
that.
Yeah, I can't answer
Classified,
that.
It's ridiculous.
I'll refer you to, statute 17B that says blah, 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 blah. Or they go in a closed door session.
Yeah.
And these oversight committees, I believe, are acquiescing to the CIA. I think they're just being yes men.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're overseeing anything like they're supposed to be.
Now, this brings up some very specific and serious questions in my mind, and I'm interested to see what you think. Not only does Donald Trump really need to increase the presence around him and be super diligent to make sure that he's safe, I believe also that Elon Musk does as well, especially because Trump is saying that he's going to bring him in as a government efficiency guy. And I think that scares
especially with Musk having an unofficial position.
Right.
Because that means
Nothing to lose.
he doesn't need consent of Congress to be appointed to something.
Right.
Because they'd break apart his finances. They would try to destroy him. But Elon Musk, I pray every day for his health because we have a lot of our freedom of speech in this country is on his shoulders.
Yes.
Which it shouldn't be that way.
No.
But it is.
It is frightening that one man carries that mantle.
And
that
one
burden.
man actually gets it. That's the other thing. He could be like, hey, I control everything.
Right.
And he doesn't have that attitude. So I think yes. And I also think it is very important on day one that Trump take control of these departments.
Yes.
That it be, okay, head of whatever, you're fired. You're gone. We're not keeping any of the top. He has to decapitate the heads of these departments. I don't know that they're salvageable. That's where I disagree with some, like RFK, who think that these agencies can be reformed. I don't know that that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can just take career people who've been there. And I'm not ripping on all of them. A lot of them are doing what they're told to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know that you can just walk in and say to the CIA, okay, what you've been doing for the last 75 years, you're not going to do anymore.
Right.
There's new rules. I don't know that that's possible.
But here's the second part of that.
And I don't trust the Republicans to back Trump on this.
Yeah.
There's way too many Republicans who are talking heads for the CIA and the FBI.
Absolutely.
And the Democrats have become that too.
Yeah.
Now, there's some who haven't. there's some
few, and it's surprising where you find allies on some of this
Bernie
stuff. Like
Sanders
AOC
would be one.
Yeah.
He'd get rid of the CIA tomorrow. So it's strange where you may find bedfellows on this.
But here's the second part of this, which I think is even more frightening. You get rid of the CIA. You get rid of the FBI. They have to quote Liam Neeson, a certain set of skills.
Yeah.
Trying to get back what was, or do they go peacefully into the night? Or do they just go and work, for like a Blackwater somewhere in some third world country? I don't know.
Well,
to me, that's frightening.
That's a tough question. Well, I think there's 2 or 3 answers to that. One, you can get rid of the CIA, create something new, and change its mission.
Yeah.
You can hire some of the low-level people back and say, look, we're not doing, I don't care what your previous boss said. Kind of like a football team. You can keep some of the coaches under the previous regime if they understand that, we're not running that offense anymore.
I think some of the spies that are out in the field are probably fine.
Right. There's some people doing important work, but there's, for the most part, it's just become, the FBI, same thing. A lot of these people have law enforcement backgrounds. They can go into private security. They can go into something else. Even the Secret Service, I think, is something that needs to be decapitated or changed or redone or something like that. I don't know how Trump goes about it. I got the gut feeling he wants to go in there with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's the best option right away. I think you got to get Congress on board to a certain degree. I think you got to go sit down and say, look, we all agree that this isn't working. They're getting criticized by everybody. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I think there's enough apologists that I don't know. What can you do executively other than appoint the people at the top?
Right.
And I think that's where, and again, do I fear for Trump's life after that? Well, I already fear it, and I do fear it even more because, you think about what these people know, who they know, what they're capable. I don't know the answer. So, do you have to have an idea of what to replace it with?
But even replacing it with something else, you're going to have these people that you have just cut off their livelihood.
Right. That's true.
And a lot of times their mission, like the thing in life that they feel like this is what I'm here to do, and all of a sudden they're not going to Dairy Queen to serve up twist cones. You know what I mean?
Let me ask this: can it be reformed over time? Is this something that can be changed over a period of years?
Here's the thing. Trump has 4 years.
Yeah.
You don't have any assurances that your successor is going to win the next election.
That's true. And just look what's happened with everything Trump did and everything Biden undid.
Yeah. The further you get past 100 days, the harder it gets to do.
And Trump's last 2 years could be pretty lame duckish.
It could be, or not. Because, really, you have 2 years to get a lot done. Because if you have the House and the Senate, you're not guaranteed to have either of those in 2 years after that.
And again, I still don't trust Republicans to back Trump on this.
Right.
I trust some of them,
yes.
But I still feel that the Lindsey Graham wing, the John McCain wing, they're not going to go along with any changes on this.
Right.
They may go along with some changes, minor stuff.
Yeah.
But if Trump wants to decapitate this, I think his best move is to do what... Here's his best move, Jay. Fire the Top People Day at 12:00 in his inaugural address.
Yes.
Announce that the top people are being canned. Clean up your desk and get out. Number 2, release documents. Get a groundswell going that people can't ignore anymore.
Right.
JFK was killed by the CIA, which I think is the truth, but I also think having it known in government documents that were covered up since 1963, that's pretty dang powerful.
Right.
Release the MLK stuff, which is supposed to be released in 2027. We all know it won't be unless Trump's there.
Right.
So, because we've seen Joe Biden, JFK stuff was supposed to be released in 2022, and he hasn't done it. He's defied the law. Which Congress passed. They passed a JFK law in 1992. Yeah. Both parties and President Bush signed it. So, Bush Sr. So, we've seen they'll just defy it. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I think he has to release. Release 9/11, release the stuff on, the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
Who have we really gone after with that? How many terrorists do you think we've taken out with the Patriot Act? And not too many have been taken out by that. It's aimed at American citizens. I'm sorry, but it is.
It is.
So I think that getting that groundswell going is, I think those are the 2 steps he's got to do immediately, is release that stuff.
Yeah.
And just say, here's what your government's been doing. I didn't do it, they did it. And I think maybe you'd create the chaos needed to where reform can't be ignored. Now, I think Trump also thinks, obviously I know he thinks getting the economy going is also on his plate, and maybe he needs some political capital for that. Right. He could threaten this. He could threaten it. Say, hey, look, I'm going to propose some reforms here. You don't want to do that? Well, guess what? Your role in this, pull a little J. Edgar Hoover here.
Yeah.
I have the power to release anything I want to and declassify anything, which is true.
Yeah.
And so, you don't want to reform this? Well, I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send it over to the Blaze. We'll see what they make out of it. Send it to Tucker Carlson, and we'll see. Yeah. What do you think of that? So there may be a bully pulpit there that he can play. I don't know.
Right.
But we're going to find out. Not too long. We're going to find out. We're going to have a lot to talk about, I think, on those shows.
Oh, boy. Yeah. January is going to be a busy month, I think.
So, yeah. Anyway. So, we got the Veep debate, October surprise, chaos in the frickin' Middle East. It's just a lot going on here, and President Trump's going to have to fix a lot of crap.
Yeah,
come up in hopefully he takes it home. So, all right. Well, Jay.
Yeah.
Once again, another wonderful show. Let me get your music here.
Yeah.
Because you need to. That was actually not the most down and out show that we've done. We a lot of times we do these really negative shows, but that wasn't too terrible.
No.
But still, we need those great closing words of Abraham and Abram, and what is it now? Cain and Abel, their kids. We have, or what is it?
Ishmael and Isaac.
Yeah, that's right. I knew that in the book of
Genesis.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Jay, styling, profiling, jet flying, limousine riding. I tell you what, I really need to get back into the Bible.
Yeah.
I haven't read it in so long, 30 some odd years.
Wow.
I think I need to change that. I think that's going to be a lifelong thing for me to change.
I read some every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear that sign-off sermon.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. We have kind of gotten away from that part of ourselves, and we've seen the way that society has responded. We've got entertainment that's just filthy garbage. We've got a government that is kind of filthy garbage. We've got an education system that is filthy garbage. I'm seeing a trend here. And it is because we've gotten away from our system of morals. John Adams said that our system of government was made for religious people and was insufficient for that of any other. And as we've gotten away from that, we've kind of seen that society is incompatible with the system of government that we've set up. So how do we fix that? Well, that's got to be an us thing. You see, we've got to become a moral people again. Now, we can't look at that as like, oh, we're going to go backwards. That's not going backwards. That is standing strong on a foundation that is immovable. And from there, you move forwards. You have to be anchored to something that's solid, because if you don't, when the rains come, when the floods rise, when the earth shakes, everything around you is going to crumble. And that's where we are. We have built everything on a falsehood, whether it is people making believe that they're gender that they're not, whether it is people that are getting ill-gotten gains through the way that they do business or sweetheart deals in the government. We live on a bed of lies. And we need to be able to make ourselves moral again. Let's do that. Let's make America moral again. Because only then will we center ourselves upon the precepts that made this country great for so many years. That's really the key. Now, we can do anything we want to change policy. We can do anything we want to create government programs. We can do anything we want to teach the kids in the universities. But if it's not done with a base of common morality, it will fail. And we will flounder. And that's what we're seeing right now. As we're being shaken, everything that is false is being shaken. Everything that's not moored to that morality is being shaken. That is all that's going to be able to stand at the end of this. Whatever's true, whatever's lovely, whatever is of good and moral decency. That's what we've got to concentrate on, is us. Only we can change our hearts. We can persuade people that they need to change their heart, but we can't change it for them. So that's the challenge. I mean, really, it's each of us living with that revived heart and coming together and doing the things that we know that we have to do to be able to fix the problems that we've created. This is something that we can do. This is something that is within our reach. With God's help, we can change this ship, and we can do it a lot faster than we think that we can if we do the right things. Otherwise, it's going to happen by drips and drabs, and it may be too little too late. We've got to make a commitment nationally that we're going to do the right things, that we're going to turn from the course we're on and put ourselves on a new course that shines us back at that shining city on a hill. Because the longer we stay out in darkness, the greater chance that we're going to put our ship at the bottom of the sea. So, this is where we all come together. This is where we all say the thing that we've been wanting to avoid. But we come together, we become moral people again, and we do the work together. Because if we do it together, and we all carry a piece of it, it is possible. We're doing what we can. I just hope and I pray for all of you that you will come to the same realization and do what you can. Together, we can make things happen. Together, we can work to change this city, this state, this nation. It's not too far gone. We love you, Minnesota, but now it's your turn to get to work.
Driven to push on.